What's up, everyone? As always, I'm your host, Jay Griffith, and this is the Sports Report right here on LBTV. We're back again for another exciting season of Lynx athletics, and just in time, too, as fall sports are starting to ramp up. On this week's episode, we'll have an in-depth preseason look at the football team, as well as an interview with new ball coach Dale Carlson, and a little later on, head men's soccer coach Dan Hogan will join us at the desk. Speaking of soccer, your Lady Lynx women's soccer team was in action at home over the weekend where they took on Bethel, seeking their first win of the season. We'll have full coverage and highlights of that, just in case you missed the game. So before we go any further, let's get this show on the road and take a look at those highlights. So Lady Lynx at home taking on Bethel University from Tennessee. We'll pick it up here. First half action, Lynx looking for their first win of the season. We'll start off here with a mishandle by Katie Brown, the goaltender for Bethel. She tries to kick it, and it's blocked by Raven Loffridge. Loffridge nearly scores, but Brown's able to scoop it up out of midair. Now, next up, LUB on the attack. It was really a story of the Lynx dominating this game. It was a low-scoring game, but we see Loffridge down low to Wood, back to Loffridge, and Loffridge is going to take a stab at it just past the net. No good. It'll go for a goal kick. Lynx still with possession here now as Jessica Steer settles it, and then off the volley shoots it right on net. Again, no good. And for once, we actually see a Bethel opportunity here cut out by the Lynx defense. Lynx defense stood tall in this game. We'll move on to the second half of action now. Lynx back on offense, ball over to Alex Scada. She's going to take one step and put it on goal. And look at this. From way downtown, almost another area code, she scores it as the Lynx would take the 1-0 lead in the second half of action. We'll take a look at this one, instant replay in slow-mo. As you can see, it just goes over the fingertips of Katie Brown, the goaltender. So the Lynx would take the 1-0 lead deeper into the second half, and they would keep the pedal on the metal and stay on the attack. Blanca Gomez will get the ball right here. Fancy little move, gets past the defender, and then she's going to take it into the box. Look for the cross. She's taken down in the box. No call. This would set up a corner kick for the Lynx. They would not convert. Next, Abby Bouchard crosses into the box looking for Steer, and it's just nearly headed wide of the goal. Now we actually see a rare Lynx mistake here as the Lady Lynx defense will turn it over. Bethel will have a break on the net. That's Catherine Wignall. She puts it wide of the goal. It looks like it's going to go in, but off the post, and that was Luisa Santillon's best friend on that play, was the post. Next up, Natani Tomlinson-Trail feeds Wignall, who just chips it barely wide of the net. Now we're going to take a look at a quick little highlight here of Luisa Santillon, and she was really one of the stories of this game. She stood on her head all day long, especially in the second half, really helped slam the door for the Lady Lynx. Turnover here, Santillon way away from home, comes out, gobbles that one all up, no good, able to close off that scoring opportunity. Katie Casey has it in on net, cuts laterally, shoots it, but there's Luisa Santillon closing the door yet again. And next up, final play of the highlight, Bethel's going to have possession. Joya Smith crosses into the box looking for her teammate, but Santillon cuts that out. And the Lady Lynx will go on to win 1-0 in full time. Scada with her first goal of the season, and Santillon with 9 saves on the year. Huge game for the Lady Lynx as they pick up their first win of the season. The Lady Lynx in their next game will hit the road and head to Conway, Arkansas, down south, to face Central Baptist in their first conference game of the year. It will be the first time in program history the Lady Lynx will meet the Mustangs. Switching gears now to football. In just a few short days, your Lynx football team will take the field for a historic 4th season as they will join the Mid-States Football Association for the first time in the program's short but eventful history. The regular season will not be the first time the Lynx have rewritten the history books, however. This offseason, Athletic Director Scott Spinner tabbed former Valparaiso head coach Dale Carlson to be just the 2nd head coach in the program's history. Earlier last week, I caught up with Coach Carlson to talk about his preparations for the upcoming season. Here with head football coach Dale Carlson, new head football coach for the Lindenwood Belleville Lynx men's football team. And Coach Carlson, before we get started, I just want to know, what excites you the most about this program and this opportunity to coach these boys?
Well, you come to a school like Lindenwood, the real exciting part for me is the fact that it's still a relatively new school and a new program. I know football's going into its 4th year, but the people here really have this pioneering spirit. They want to really build something special, and having started a couple of football programs, done those things, that really excited me to be a part of not only building the program, but building the school, taking it to the next step. Secondly, the Mid-States Football Association is a great conference. I know if you can compete here, you can compete on the national level. We have a great recruiting base in the St. Louis metro area. So you can put all those things together. When the opportunity presented itself, I had to say yes.
So now, you did come in late in the offseason, and that can sometimes bring challenges for a head football coach installing new schemes, new systems. What is your biggest challenge coming in this late in the offseason?
Well, the biggest challenge was just getting to know the players. Having started just a couple of weeks before training camp, I didn't recruit any of the incoming players. I obviously haven't worked with the returning players. So getting to know them and trying to find out what their strengths and their weaknesses are has been the biggest challenge. And so we've been working through that, and we're finding out what our guys can do, what they can't do, and then it's my job to make sure we put them in a position to be successful. But that's really been the biggest challenge, is just getting to know the personnel.
Now, you did talk about the players and the fact you haven't recruited any of this crop of players. Now, coming in, though, you did have a new crop of quarterbacks, a change from last season. What can we expect from these new quarterbacks?
Well, that's been the challenge, is trying to get to see what they could do within the type of offensive scheme that we want to run. And, we've had some good competition. We've got some players that have been fighting it out, and haven't made a decision yet on who the starter is going to be. But I'm confident by the time we get to Siena Heights on Saturday, we're going to be in a position to know who our guy is, and we're going to let him go.
Now, you guys do lose Donnie Foster. Foster, a great tight end, prolific catcher out of the slot area. How do you sort of compensate for that, and who do you see stepping up to take his place?
Right. Right now, we've had some great competition there. We're looking almost at a two-pronged approach. A tight end that's more of a slot player, and then maybe one that we might attach more. But we're trying to coach our guys up to get them to the point where they can play in the slot and play attached. Tyler McNair, returning player, has really had a really good camp, and I would say right now is probably our number one player at that spot. But we're still working to develop some depth with some of the new players and a couple of the returning players yet. So Tyler's probably number one there right now, but we're working to develop the depth with the other players.
Now, staying on the offensive side of the ball, in past seasons, blocking has been kind of poor sometimes for the running game. As the head football coach, how do you change that culture?
Well, it's about coaching techniques and assignments, and how you again match the skills and the abilities of the players to what you want to do. Coach Chafin, our offensive line coach, has really done a good job in coaching the techniques and the things that I want to have done in our offense. And I kind of kid him a little bit, because I was an offensive line coach way back when I was an assistant, and you never want to coach the same position the head coach coached. But he's done a really good job, and we're on the same page, I think, which really helps in terms of his experiences, what he did as a player, what he's done as a coach. So it's about just teaching and demanding and trying to put them in the best position that they can, and then using their physical talents to then execute the blocks up front.
Now, we've talked about the quarterback, the tight end, and the blocking, but you can't talk about the offense without the wide receivers. Do you guys feel like you have the deep threats necessary to take pressure off the running game this season?
Well, I think that's one of the things that we're still working to get through. We're working with, probably right now 7 players at the wide receiver spot, trying to figure out who those top 4 on the outside are going to be, and then who's going to be in the other slot spot. So it's a work in progress right now. I think we've got some ideas, but really until we get to game 1 and get through the next, finish up this week of practice, I'm really not going to know, where we're at. And in reality, until we start playing, I think that's really going to show, what can our guys really do under pressure. We've done some good things in camp, good things in practice, but until you play a game, you don't really know.
Now, some people have called you an offensive-minded coach, but you have balked at that in the past, and for good reason. Your defense, wherever you've been, has been very stellar. What can we expect from this Lynx defense this coming season?
Sure. I think that's one of the things that is an advantage in that Coach Bob Fry, our defensive coordinator, and I kind of go way back in coaching, and I was very excited. One of the reasons when I applied for the job is I knew Coach Fry was here, and I felt like we're going to have a defense that is going to be well coached, is going to be prepared. So we really didn't make any changes, in the defensive structure. Coaching staff changed a little bit with Coach Fry moving to defense, but he's coaching them up, and our guys are really responding well to his coaching and defensive staff's teaching. And so I feel like we're going to be we have the chance to be a pretty good defensive football team.
Now, you touched on it at the top of the interview. You do have experience in this conference with the Mid-States Football Association throughout your career. How do you feel like that will impact this coming season?
Well, I think my experience working in the NAIA, understanding how to recruit to the league, just knowing that the Mid-States is the SEC of NAIA football. If you win in this league, you have a chance to compete nationally, and all you have to do is look at some past national championship champions or schools that have been playing in the national championship game. And we're going to have schools like St. Francis, Indiana come in here, and they played in 4 straight national championships not all that long ago. Didn't win one, but they were there. We're going to have Marion, who won the national championship a couple of years ago, on our schedule. So it's a very competitive conference, one that again, we're playing great people week in and week out. And I think just understanding how competitive it's going to be and being able to translate that to the players so that they're ready to bring their A game every week, I think that helps. Obviously, there's been some coaching changes since I was in the league, but some of the coaches are still here. So I think there's a little bit of familiarity with what people are going to be doing.
Now, last question, Coach, and we can't let you go without asking this. What are your personal expectations for this season?
Sure. I'm not one of those types of coaches that really talks about, I expect to win this many games or do that. But what I want to see and what I've challenged the players to do is to be disciplined in their play, to execute their responsibilities, and to play hard for 60 minutes. And a long time ago, I asked Tom Osborne, the great Nebraska coach, why are you so successful? Why do you win? And he said, we really don't talk about winning. We talk about playing hard for 60 minutes. We talk about being disciplined. We talk about being committed to executing your assignments and techniques and understanding those things. And I took that with me, and it's worked for me pretty well so far over the years. And so we're going to take that same philosophy of play 60 minutes, play each play as hard as you can, be prepared, and then we'll look up at the end of the game and see what the scoreboard says.
Thanks so much for your time, Coach, and good luck this upcoming season.
All right, Jake, thanks, and I look forward to working with you this fall.
The Lynx will kick off their 2015 campaign Saturday, September 5th, at home against the visiting Siena Heights Saints. Game will kick off at 1 p.m. Central Time. You can watch the game live on LBTV and listen to it live on 89.1 HD3 The Link. We're going to step aside for a quick break, but when we return, head coach of the men's soccer team, Dan Hogan, will join us at the desk. This is the Sports Report on LBTV. And welcome back. We're now joined by Coach Dan Hogan, head coach of the wildly successful LUB men's soccer team. And Coach Hogan, how you doing today?
Hey, great to be here again.
Yeah, thanks for coming to the desk. Now, you guys have played one game already, a loss to Missouri Valley, the number 7 team in the nation, 2-1. It was a heartbreaking loss for you guys. But I do want to just backtrack a little bit and talk about a full season preview of what we can expect. Now, we talked about it before we went on the air. The layout of the conference has changed a little bit. You guys did add a new team in Central Baptist College, meaning that the conference now gets 2 automatic qualifiers, the tournament champion for the postseason conference tournament and as well as the regular season conference champion.
That's correct.
What does that mean for the conference, in your opinion?
Well, I think last year I'd have to look at the standings, but the distance between first, second, and third was maybe 1 game or a half a game. And there's some really good teams because they play second in the conference or did not win the conference tournament, sat home. So for a respect situation, we're trying to get at least 2 or 3 teams in next year.
Okay, now let's fast forward to the game we just recently referenced, the Missouri Valley game. Obviously, like I said, a heartbreaking loss. You guys were up 1-0, 2 goals conceded. You had a chance to win it, or tie it at least, with about 30 seconds to go. What did you see in that game that you guys can take going forward and maybe help it prepare you for conference games and make you guys better as a team?
Well, first of all, Missouri Valley is an extremely strong opponent. They've been in the top 25 for 55 straight weeks. So that's a team that we measure success against. At halftime, to be up 1-0, I told the guys, teams that are in the top 25 every year don't give up. They're always searching for goals. And they got a penalty kick and a goal in the last 10 minutes. But what most pleased me is that we also searched for goals at the end. And with 30 seconds left, we had a chance to tie it up. So we didn't quit playing when it was 2-1. We kept playing, and I was extremely happy to see that.
Now, now you talked about goals. We talked again about it before we went on the air. You guys lost 5 seniors to graduation, 30 goals apiece. That's a huge loss. How are you guys going to make up for that this season?
Well, we talk about it. Hopefully there's players from within the team that maybe didn't have the attacking numbers last year that will this year. Actually, we're 1-1. We played Ottawa over the weekend. And Leonardo Ferry right now has 2 goals in 2 games. So maybe he might be one of our goal scorers. We also pride ourselves on the defensive end, and maybe we just had to do a little bit better job of playing defense.
Now, you talked about the defense there. You guys obviously do return outstanding goaltender Nicholas Nicolaci. What does he bring to the table? I know we've talked about this before, and he's a huge focal point for you guys, but just what does he bring to the table as a teammate, as a player, and as one of the best goaltenders in the nation?
I think, we talked about this after the game against Missouri Valley, is that we have to trust Nicholas that he's going to make the big-time save. And if it comes down to whether we have to foul or we have to let somebody go, we trust Nicholas is going to make the save. He also has a big presence. The guys trust him 100%. And, our back four is the same as last year also. So there's a really good understanding between those 5 players.
Now, I do want to talk about this coming Friday. Obviously, big game for you guys. It'll be the first game under the lights in program history. Before we get to the actual game itself, I know it sounds sort of trivial and silly, lights being put up, but as far as that goes, that just, in your opinion, does that just show the growth and the, focus, you could say, of being put on soccer here at this campus, that more things are being done to the soccer field?
Yeah, we it's only our 7th year. And we've done a lot on the field. We've been successful in the conference, and when we were in the USCAA, we won a national championship. And I think that has lent us to receive more support from the university with regards to lights and locker rooms and things like that.
Now, let's take a look at the game itself. You even said so yourself before we went on the air. Huge game. What can we expect Friday between these 2 teams? Spring
Arbor, we don't have a common opponent. We've never seen them. They come from Michigan. They're in a strong conference. They're always borderline top 25. And I know some people who know their coach, and we're definitely going to respect them. They're going to come in, and they have a chance to knock somebody off that's in the top 25. We haven't had that target very often where teams are trying to knock us out of the top 25. So we have to make sure that we treat everybody as serious as the best teams that we play.
Now, I want to go back to that a little bit before we continue. And you talked about the top 25 ranking. Like you said, you guys really haven't had to, I guess you could say, deal with sort of that target on your guys' back of being in the top 25. How does that change the way you guys approach the season and maybe the mentality the players have coming into this year?
We don't talk about the top 25 very often. I think it was when it was announced, we sent it out. We don't talk about staying in the top 25. We don't talk about getting into the top 10. We kind of just go day by day, opponent by opponent. And hopefully at the end of the day, most importantly, that we take care of business in the conference tournament.
Now, I want to talk about conference one more time before we let you go, Coach. And from your opinion, what can we see from the conference as a whole? Who are going to be tough opponents for you guys? What are games you see as maybe not necessarily easy wins, but maybe games that aren't going to be as tough as others?
I think everything's tough because when you play away, you're out of your comfort zone. We had, I think, a 12-game home schedule last year. And we like playing at home. So now I think there's a stretch of 4 games in a row that we're at Harris, Columbia, Hannibal, and William Woods, all in a row. And that's going to test the character of the team.
definitely be a gauntlet, to say the least, a
Right,
tough stretch.
right.
So we'd like to thank you, Coach, for joining us at the desk, and good luck on the rest of the soccer season. Good luck this Friday night.
Thank you.
That's all we have for this week's show. Don't forget to tune in next week, same time, same place. Next week we will have full coverage of the men's soccer game Friday night and highlights, as well as highlights and coverage of the football game on Saturday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.